The two worst words in baseball. Elbow soreness.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Reds. Welcome into Locked On Reds. This is a special weekend bonus emergency edition of the Locked On Reds podcast. My name is Jeff Carr. I have been the host of this podcast for 6 seasons now. I'm also the channel manager for the Locked On MLB channel. Locked On Reds is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every single day. And today's emergency podcast has one topic, and the singular topic is the injury to Hunter Greene that was reported moments before the start of Saturday night's game. In fact, Saturday night's game is currently going on as I am recording this here on August 17th. Hunter Greene was placed on the 15-day injured list with elbow soreness. And this is horrible news. There's definitely lots more details to follow once the Reds do some more testing and things like that. But the news was so sudden that the Reds didn't even make a corresponding roster move. Hunter Greene hitting the IL usually comes with somebody being called up from AAA or something like that. This happened literally like 10 minutes after 6 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday night, and the Reds played in 30 minutes. So they didn't really have any time. I don't think you could drive fast enough from Louisville to get somebody up here for Saturday's game, so there will be a roster move for Sunday's game. But this news is quite horrible. The report, and this was a tweet from Charlie Goldsmith, said some notes from Nick Kroll on Hunter Greene. Hunter Greene felt some soreness after his last start. He felt better, but then he felt it again after playing catch on Saturday. They put him on the IL as a precautionary reason. And I have seen some folks try to say, well, maybe spin zone. Maybe they're, trying to manage his workload a little bit. And while I would love that, and I would absolutely love if he spent the minimum, he only misses like 2 starts and he's back really quickly. I don't ever know a situation that started out with elbow soreness that ended well. And I hate to say that because I want to be optimistic about this, but injuries are not something that it's like, oh, you're being optimistic or pessimistic about an injury. Like, pitchers have this problem all of the time. But the hardest part about all of this, and the reason that this news is so bad, is that consider for a moment that if elbow soreness, if the MRI, the Reds are going to have an MRI, hopefully Monday. I don't know why they wouldn't even have one on Sunday, but hopefully here in the next couple of days. Hopefully the MRI does not reveal what we all worry about, because if it does, if it's the dreaded Tommy John, that means that he's not pitching next year. He's not pitching the rest of this year. He's not pitching next year. And then, you hope that he's ready for 2026. That then really, I don't know if it shouldn't put pressure, but that might put pressure on the development of Chase Burns. That might put pressure on the development of Rhett Lauder. Julian Aguiar, for my money, should be called up to take Hunter Greene's next start. But yeah, right now the news is very dire. I would like to have a much more bright tone about this, but I can't. The Reds were hoping to, win Game 2, hoping for Nick Lodolo to come back and pitch well and maybe force a rubber match on Sunday. But quite frankly, even if they did, this news would dwarf that. The Cincinnati Reds have hung their hats on Hunter Greene. He was the first of the young studs to kind of get a little bit of contract. I wouldn't say it's long term, but they bought out his arbitration. They bought out a first couple of years of free agency for him. It's a very nice deal that is team friendly for a small market organization. So it's not as if they're paying him Homer Bailey money, but at the same time, this was the guy that the Reds chose to invest in. And so for that to be something that now the Reds may have to put on the shelf, and this is still speculatory because They have not done any testing to confirm that he needs any sort of major surgery, but it is sobering to hear the details. And the interview that Nick Krall gave, and I saw it on the Bally Sports broadcast of the television broadcast for the Reds game, is that he started off by saying, we placed him on the 15-day IL for precautionary reasons. And then he said we had to have a tough conversation with Hunter Greene. Hopefully he grows from it. And then he said, he's going to have an MRI, things like that. That devolved very quickly. And as much as, and I haven't heard, I don't think they've had enough time to actually talk to David Bell about this injury, but you can only imagine he will say something positive, because he always says something positive about the prognosis of an injury. So I'm not expecting any new revelation there, but this certainly puts a damper on a lot of different things. And what's the plan moving forward? I'll give a couple of ideas that I have for that coming up next. The best way to enhance your baseball watching experience the rest of the season is with Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And they've got so many different ways to do it. There's a reason that they are the #1 daily fantasy sports app, because you just pick 2 to 6 entries. An entry is your favorite player and your favorite stat, and all you do is click more or less. You do that 2 to 6 times, you create an entry, and in some cases, only 4 picks correctly can win you up to 100 times your money. You can turn $10 into $1,000 just like that. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code, all lowercase, LOCKEDONMLB, for a first deposit match of up to $100. Again, that's download the Prize Picks app and use the promo code, all lowercase, LOCKEDONMLB, for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, all you got to do is click more or click less. It's really that easy. And as summer winds down, we're going to want to take advantage of every moment of warm weather outside, but don't forget to stay hydrated. Liquid IV is the best way to do that. Trust me, the other day I was out on the golf course, had a nice little shot too, was able to chip it in from like 65 yards out. Don't worry, that was the safe par. I'm not like good at golf or anything like that, but I stayed hydrated with Liquid IV, because all you do is you mix a packet of Liquid IV with your water, and you double the hydration and you double the taste as well. You've got great tastes like lemon lime and raspberry, and the summer flavor of popsicle firecracker that melds some citrus tastes with some berry tastes and brings it all together. You really enhance your water with Liquid IV. Go to liquidiv.com and use the promo code MLB to get 20% off your first order. Again, that's code MLB at liquidiv.com for 20% off your first order today. Stay hydrated the rest of the summer and all year long, really, with Liquid IV. Thanks for making Locked On Reds your first listen every single day, and thanks for making us checking us out on this emergency episode talking about Hunter Greene's injury. Make sure you check out Locked On MLB after this. Sully has got you covered for the MLB playoffs as we move ever closer to them. That's over at Locked On MLB. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And Steve will be back with me on Monday. We will definitely discuss this more in detail as far as like plans and moving forward. But let me give you kind of my thought on this. Hunter Greene, as I had mentioned just a few moments ago, is now going to miss time, whatever that time looks like. The Reds now are down to the spot where Nick Martinez is filling a rotation spot. Carson Spires, whether it's a bullpen day and Carson Spires goes long, or if Carson Spires starts that game, whatever it might be, 2 of those rotation spots are filled by guys who are really fill-ins. As much as I really want Carson Spires to be part of this team's future, I think it's more so as a long relief guy out of the pen. So with that being said, add a third spot that needs something. You've got to call up a starter. You've got to call up Julian Aguiar. Julian Aguiar was the minor league pitcher of the year for the Cincinnati Reds in 2023, And Julian Aguiar has had a pretty good 2024 as well, making it into AAA, pitching with the Louisville Bats. He's just one step away, one call away. I really hope that he is the call that the Reds make. I feel like he is ready to get a taste. And make no mistake about it, the Reds can't replace the performance of Hunter Greene. Hunter Greene was stepping into the ace role. The debate and the want for the last few years, ever since Luis Castillo was traded, is the Reds need an ace. And while we would love to have had debated between Nick Lodolo and Hunter Greene, I think that the developments for Nick Lodolo, and as I record this, he is being pulled in the third inning of Saturday night's game, the developments for Nick Lodolo are now concerning to see where his future lies. I still think it's in the rotation, but he's definitely got to figure out, I think he's like re-gripping his curveball or something. I don't know exactly what he's doing there, but he has had a rough go of it here recently. Hopefully he can bounce back soon. But the performance of Hunter Greene was ace-level material. Every fifth day out, you knew you were going to get something close to 6 innings and maybe 1 or 2 earned runs allowed, and that's it. The Reds don't have that. They can't just pull that out of thin air, so that really takes a hit to any sort of playoff hopes that they still had, that they were clinging to. But Julian Aguiar seems to be the guy that I think they should call up to at least get the innings that they need to fill. I don't foresee, I just saw that the Red Sox signed longtime veteran starting pitcher Rich Hill. Outside of making a move for a guy like that, I don't see them signing some sort of free agent guy. Because at this point anyway, the people who are available are... do you remember Chase Anderson from a couple of years ago? Yeah, that guy. That's pretty much the type of pitcher that you can expect. A guy that's might as well be bad. You're just going to throw him out there every fifth day and just get shelled. So at least make it a development thing. Make it something that Julian Aguiar can learn and grow from, and see if you've got somebody who can be good rotation depth for you. Because we speculated that the Reds had good rotation depth coming into this season, and a couple of the guys that we speculated on, outside of Brandon Williamson being hurt, we never got to see him because he was injured, but both Brandon Phillips and Lyon Richardson have been very disappointing at AAA this season, so they really have kind of disappeared from the picture of this. And maybe the Reds call up Lyon Richardson because he has Major League experience and Julian Aguiar doesn't. But I think we're moving into the portion of the season where we can comfortably say the playoffs are out of reach for this team. And if that's the case, you need to be focused on what the future is, what the future holds for this team, and for a team that is going to be missing its ace next year, and not going to, it has not been confirmed, but man, elbow soreness does not give me a lot of hope to say that, everything's going to be fine and he'll be back soon. I really hope that's the case. And make no mistake about it, everydayers know how optimistic I am and how much I love this team, but just been beaten down this season, and the news today and the performance of the Reds today is just, it's flattened me. Like Hunter Greene, elbow soreness, MRI coming in the next couple of days. For me, it's in the fine details of this. Like I said, Charlie Goldsmith tweeted that Nick Kroll said Hunter Greene felt soreness after his latest start. It felt better, and then he felt soreness again after playing catch on Saturday. That does not, I don't know, man. Like, that's a bummer. We are going to continue to discuss this all week long, what the future looks like for the Reds rotation with Hunter Greene, without Hunter Greene, all of that great stuff. Make sure that you subscribe to the Locked On Reds podcast, because we will be with you every single day. As news comes out, as whatever, you know that we will be here with you, because we are Locked On Reds every single day.